This shot right here, this was a shot that took a lot of changing. It seems like a pretty simple shot, but it actually was probably the most changed shot out of all of them. Originally, it was going to be that shot that we're looking at right now
What's
the
going
entire
on?
time, and I was like, no, that doesn't look very good.
You got any
Well,
customers?
it doesn't. It looks good, but it doesn't look like what I'm wanting to do. And
I
so
told you,
this
man.
is what we
Nobody's gonna
went with.
come in past 7.
I think it looks
Yep.
pretty cool.
Like
Also,
this
this
is
is the
what
only
people do.
phone call shot that we did that actually you were on the phone with somebody.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It obviously
We
wasn't that soft. Like
decided,
I can't see nobody showing up.
I mean, it was kind of like a difficult situation where
Nah, man. Nah, man.
we were
You said
recording with your phone, I was
you said
holding the
call from 9
landline,
o'clock.
and then
Man,
you were
it's 10
calling with
minutes.
my
If
phone.
you leave beforehand and somebody shows
So,
up, it's
Yeah,
gonna make a
we
second
needed
call.
an extra phone, but
People
we
that think
didn't have
12
one
hour
on
window
hand.
do it.
yeah. I mean, there's only
The
two
audio
people.
also is
All right.
not great with this scene at all. I feel like
Yeah.
so I'm not
Yeah.
going to say
After
anything
we
about our next project, but our next
30 minutes
project
later, man.
requires a
It's
lot
like
of
30 minutes or
added
so.
audio. You know what I mean, Jeffrey.
I know what you mean.
And
Bye.
so,
Bye.
yeah, we're definitely gonna have to experiment with some other things. But I think it did the job.
Yeah.
I like the shot a lot. How it's very subtle the movement, but it stays there and it kind of opens up the shot a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't add anything to the story; it just looks nice.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that this scene. Whoa. You hear that noise, dude?
Oh,
A
spooky!
little
Yeah,
bit
this scene
spooky.
right here, the scene that's coming up, is probably the first scene that I planned out as the director of photography. Uh, I do like it quite a bit. Um, it's just a simple little pan shot that kind of goes through three rooms, which I think is
Yeah.
pretty
I
awesome.
really like shots that give you multiple perspectives from the same point of view, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
You stay in the same spot throughout all three locations, but it's from a different perspective.
yeah. We
I
actually have
also,
another one very similar to that, but it's outside.
mm,
Well, it's a shot inside. It's a shot outside inside shot.
yeah, yeah.
I like
Now,
that. I like the subtlety of that shot as well. How it just like slowly moves over. It doesn't have
yeah,
to take it up from it.
we have a lot of shots where we use windows and doorways and stuff like that because, like you said, it adds a lot of symmetry, and that's kind of what we were going for when it comes to the look of this film. Um, yeah. I also this is the scene that we used for the teaser right here, and I was
Yeah,
kind
this
of
is actually
afraid that either this would be like you in the background. I was afraid that was going to be either too subtle or not subtle enough, but I feel like we did a pretty good, decent job with it.
yeah. I feel like no. This was actually. I take that back what I said before. This was probably the first shot that I thought of. I think this was the shot that made me want to create your story into a script.
Yeah. Which actually, I guess, interesting enough. So, in 2020, my New Year's resolution was to make one short film, and originally, my idea was very similar to this. And Ben came up to me with the idea for the coffee shop, so we decided to do that instead. And I kind of just like not necessarily forgot, but I just moved on to other things until a few weeks before this. Ben was like, "Let's revisit that," and I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." So, but
Wait,
obviously Ben,
beforehand, I asked you if you wanted to. No, okay. So the first thing was I asked you if you wanted to do the script, if you wanted to make a script for it. Then, like a week later, I asked if I could make a script, and then you're like, I don't know, man. Like, I think I want to do it. And I was like, okay, I have this idea, and if he doesn't want to do it because this is his story idea, we don't have to do it. But I'm gonna make a script just so I could show it to him,
mhm,
and that was kind of the process of you know making this movie. And we
yeah,
shot it in a weekend. Like it was the script was done probably like a couple days before we actually shot,
yeah,
and then we shot it the weekend, and then boom. And the editing probably took like a day. So this was a very quickly done film, but it's a vast improvement from the last project.
yeah,
The coffee shop was just a mess, but this we had a coherent thing going on.
mhm.
Which the coffee shop didn't fail because it didn't have a script. Because we actually did have pretty decent scripts. We just didn't follow the scripts at
Yeah. It
all.
was very loosely followed. I really like this shot. I really like the way that the camera pans from one side of the hallway to another. I found that to be very, very cool.
I'm a
But
big fan of this shot where the lens flare kind of like pushes behind him, like that shot right there. So it kind of
right,
brightens everything up, and then it changes to either that shot,
yeah.
and it kind of shows like a lot of contrast, which I like a lot.
So we kind of had a problem with this scene because we couldn't really see you in the background.
Dude,
So
this thing took two, like technically was it
yeah,
2 days?
it took both day 1 and day 2 to do this scene. But
And it took all of our other scenes the first day.
yeah. But I
And then,
decided,
well,
this was like, I opened up the cabinet doors and then the door to the big room to have some like white in the background, and it ended up working. I was actually surprised that it actually worked. But now this right here is a pretty cool scene. We got like
oh, wait, yeah, but before you say, because I think I know what you're gonna say, but before you say that, I like how this is like not intentional, but it makes sense how when you're walking past and you look into the hallway where the figure was, you can't see him anymore.
right.
So it kind of pushes the idea of if he is he just afraid of the dark or is it like actually real?
Right. I really like the when you go from inside to outside, how different the atmosphere is, and it's kind of like this, almost kind of freeing a little bit, kind of like a breather almost, until you go back in. But also, I really like how ominous the buildings are in the background, and you told me this. It kind of pushes the idea of the fact that he's alone, even when he's outside.
Yeah.
But and here, your idea here was to kind of have the revert. Like, it's pretty much when it comes to the shots, it's pretty much the same as before, just without the horror aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I was trying to recreate it as perfectly as possible, and I think we did a pretty good job.
yeah,
The shot before, we actually recorded this already, but there was an error. There was a shot before where the left side shows like the light, and then the right side shows the pure darkness. And I did that twice within like a minute, and I really do think that's effective, like visual storytelling.
Yeah. Now this is probably my favorite part of the movie, but it's also where we had our biggest failure. In that, if you look at the door frame right there, there's a hand right there. But I didn't make that visual enough, and Ben did tell me that we could probably do it again, but I think I was on some sort of adrenaline rush or something like that, because I don't even remember.
Like,
But
yes, finally, we're making a project that doesn't suck.
yeah, but honestly, this is probably our most impressive scene shot-wise, and I think technically how he did it was really cool, because you were like, all right, how do we go from me being in that corner there and you being right there, like who operates the camera? So we just got a piece of tape and put it on the Joy-Con of Ben's gimbal, and that's how he did the shot. And the gimbal, you talk about the gimbal.
The gimbal is probably the reason why this is a visually appealing short film, was because we like if I did this handheld with an iPhone, it would look terrible. But we kind of leaned on the gimbal quite a bit. Like every good shot in here in this film, like kind of required that, which we use it as like a crutch. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing when you're doing.
Plus, I don't really think that handheld was necessary in this film.
Yeah, I think handheld could have been interesting, but it just I don't know, to do handheld successfully, it's kind of
I think you can.
I like the
you can
audio
wrap it up
design
now.
before the phone call, but
Yeah.
as soon as the phone calls
Yeah.
happen, there's such a decrease
I'm just saying.
in quality, which
I'll
is
take
mainly
one.
my fault.
Because
Like, we should have done a different. We should have had a different system when it came to
listen.
capturing the audio
You
of
can
the
just go
phone
ahead and wrap it
call
up. There's
and
no need.
merging into the film. Because the problem is we didn't get the.
I'll see you
First of
later.
all, this shot right here was completely improvised by Jeffrey. There was no one on the line. But the shot before the beginning shot, I was on the other line, but we didn't have a proper way to record the audio.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound good.
I
Also,
really liked
this
the.
shot has Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I personally, when it comes to directing, I like for things to feel more natural. So that was a little bit hard for me to go off of nothing there.
Yeah.
But I think it ended up working out. I think that one thing I was afraid of is that our conversations would feel disingenuous because of, it's not really a true conversation, even though you're on the other line. On the first phone call, the audio that we used wasn't the actual conversation, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a mental thing, like because like you know for a fact you weren't on the phone. I don't think it makes it like they feel like the same.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like there's a decrease in like quality of conversation. Although we could have done a better job. Well, I could have done a better job with writing a better like dialogue.
Right.
The point was, I didn't like the dialogue in the actual script was so minimal. We really didn't go off of it at all. Like the
Yeah.
only
Those are the only
parsons
2
I
lines in
used
the
were,
entire film.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
and they're effective, but
yeah.
they could have been a little bit better. But
All right. So you were talking about how like loneliness and stuff like that. I think one thing that was unintentional but it ended up working is that car in the background. I think
yeah,
that
that's
like
why I
it
didn't want to cut it short.
yeah. Like I feel like that like you have re-entered society if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and
So
there's also brings in light as well, which I think is kind of like another theme. Is like the light and dark. It
right.
kind of, well, yeah, and it's kind of the biggest part of this film.
Mhm.
He's just afraid of the dark.
So if you look in the
So,
corner here, you can see Ben uh and his
that
ghostly
is
figure.
indeed me.
But
That is
yeah,
me.
I kind of wanted to leave the audience alone for the credits. Kind of
Which
which I think ended up working. But
there's something. So if you go to the comments of this short film, which you should definitely watch if it's your first time hearing about this, by itself, just so you can get the full experience. There there used to be music over that scene, but we had to take it out because copyright reasons, which is weird because it was a royalty-free song, but apparently another channel had already put it up and they had copied it. Was whole ordeal, but honestly, I think it's better because of that.
yeah. Yeah, and like the whole Christmas tree, it's not a Christmas tree, but I feel like that it going off and on kind of leaves this ominous kind of
That's not a
feeling.
Christmas tree.
I mean, I think it technically is a Christmas tree, but like it's
It's
not
more
used
of
as
a
a Christmas.
Thanksgiving tree.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's more of a Hanukkah tree.
what's a Hanukkah tree?